Hello, and welcome to English for Everyone, where we practice real-life American English. Today we're going to learn to avoid some important mistakes, so let's get started. First, this is not correct.
So some popular summer clothing include a t-shirt, shorts, a hat to cover your face.
I cannot say some popular summer clothing include a t-shirt, shorts, and a hat. Clothing is a singular noun, so I have to say includes. It's correct to say some popular summer clothing includes a t-shirt, shorts, and a hat. This is correct. I have to say includes because clothing is a singular noun. Example, summer clothing includes a t-shirt, shorts, and a hat. Let's practice. What does summer clothing include? Does summer clothing include a t-shirt, shorts, and a hat? That's right. Summer clothing includes a t-shirt, shorts, and a hat. This is also not correct.
But when it's 100 degrees Fahrenheit, I would recommend you guys to stay inside.
I cannot say I would recommend you guys to stay inside. After recommend, we cannot use to stay. We have to say just stay. It's correct to say I would recommend that you guys stay inside. Or I can eliminate that and just say I recommend you guys stay inside. But I cannot say to stay inside, not after recommend. Example, there's a storm. If there's a storm, I recommend that you stay inside. Let's practice. If there's a storm, do you recommend that I stay inside? That's right. If there's a storm, I recommend that you stay inside. So keep watching for a full explanation of how to use the verb recommend. It's a tricky structure. This is also not correct.
But this holiday is also celebrated by celebrating the beginning of summer.
I cannot say this holiday is celebrated by celebrating the beginning of summer. We can't say something is celebrated by celebrating. Don't say this. So it's correct to say this holiday celebrates the beginning of summer. It is not celebrated by celebrating. It celebrates. Talking about Memorial Day, this holiday celebrates the beginning of summer. Let's practice. So talking about Memorial Day, does this holiday celebrate the beginning of summer? That's right, this holiday celebrates the beginning of summer. This is also not correct.
Or you can also use a hat.
I cannot say or you can also use a hat. We don't use hats, we wear hats. Don't use the verb use when you're talking about clothes. Use wear. I cannot use a hat, I wear a hat. Example, he always wears a hat. It's part of his uniform. Let's practice. Does he always wear a hat? That's right, he always wears a hat. It's part of his uniform. This is also not correct.
Sometimes during the winter, the temperatures will freeze.
I cannot say the temperatures will freeze. Temperatures don't freeze. Temperatures drop. They go down, but they don't freeze. I can say the temperatures will drop and it will freeze. But I cannot say the temperatures will freeze. I use it. It will freeze. Let's practice. Will the temperatures drop? That's right, the temperatures will drop. Will it freeze? That's right, and it will freeze. This is also not correct.
Once they bloom, they will blossom and then turn into leaves for the summertime.
I cannot say once they bloom, they will blossom. Basically, bloom and blossom mean the same thing. They're interchangeable. They're used interchangeably. Technically, when I say the flowers bloom, they're a full flower. And if I say the flowers blossom, I'm talking about the process. The whole process, from a flower bud to a full flower. But, like I said, basically, they're used interchangeably, bloom or blossom. So I cannot say once they bloom, they will blossom. This doesn't make sense. Let's hear that second part again.
Once they bloom, they will blossom and then turn into leaves for the summertime.
And then they will turn into leaves for the summertime? Flowers don't turn into leaves. They wilt, they wither, and die. But they don't turn into leaves. And keep watching to practice how to use these verbs. Bloom, blossom, wither, and wilt. They're a little confusing. So, of course, this is a flower. But what about this? This is a bud. This is a rosebud. This is a rosebud too. And this rosebud is about to bloom. Bloom is the action. Bloom is the verb. You can also say blossom. This rosebud is about to blossom. So what are the parts? Well, these are leaves. I have 1 leaf and 2, 3 leaves. And this is the stem. This is the stem. These are the leaves, and this is the rosebud. And don't forget, on the flower you have these. These are petals. That's right, we spell it with a T, but it's pronounced with the fast D sound. D-d-d-d. Petals. Petals. The flower has many petals. Today we're learning the difference between these words, wilt, wither, and wither away. They all mean about the same thing, but they're a little different. So let's take a closer look. First, let's talk about wilt. It's a verb, and it's used to talk about flowers and plants. When they droop or sag, like this, droop, sag. These are verbs also. When a flower does this, we say the flower is wilted, or the flower wilts. I can use the verb wilt, the flower wilts when it dies, or I can describe the flower and use wilted. The flower is wilted. It's not doing well. Something's wrong with it. It's not healthy. So example, flowers wilt when they die, and this flower is wilted. Let's hear some examples.
If you remove it from the body, cut off its flow of blood, and then eventually, if left on its own, it will wilt and die.
And you occasionally brought me home a bunch of wilted zinnias.
Like that wilted leaf there.
Right. It was like they wilted all at once.
Flowers have wilted. Call the florist.
Let's practice. Do flowers wilt when they die? That's right, flowers wilt when they die. Is this flower wilted? That's right, this flower is wilted. Now let's talk about wither. Wither is also a verb. Pronunciation uses a short I like this is, wither. And the TH makes a voice sound like this and that. Together, wither. Wither. It means to get dry. Talking about plants, vegetables, flowers, things like that, leaves, they wither. When they're dry and unhealthy, we say they wither. Example, the leaves are withering. They're dry, they're turning brown. I use the verb wither. They're withering. But I can also say wilt because they're drooping. They're drooping like this. They're sagging. So I can say they're wilted too. I can say the leaves are wilted, and I can say the leaves are withering. They're interchangeable in this case because they're dry, they're brown, and they're sagging. They're drooping. Let's practice. Are the leaves wilted? That's right, the leaves are wilted. Are the leaves withering? That's right, the leaves are withering. The plant is not healthy. Let's hear some examples.
Bypass their strong points. Cut their supply lines and leave them to wither and die on the vine.
Cut off from Krypton, these outposts withered and died long ago.
If I don't return regularly to my planet and the light within it, this form will wither and perish.
For you, the years were nothing. But I withered and grew old.
Now let's talk about wither away. This is a phrasal verb, and it refers to not just plants, but anything that is dying, that is going to disappear. We say wither away. I can say the plant is withering away. It's dying. It's going to disappear. All the leaves are going to fall off because they're dying. The leaves are withering away. Let's practice. Are the leaves withering away? That's right, the leaves are withering away. But remember, we can use this phrasal verb to talk about anything that is dying and is going to disappear. Let's hear some examples.
You're a workaholic at such an advanced stage that your intimacy skills have withered away to almost nothing.
All dried up, withering away from lack of attention.
What is happening to me? Or it's just your heart withering away.
Old men wither away and die.
Before you, I was all alone, withering away.
Single man, wither away and die in rooms that smell of feet and armpits.
And wither away to nothing.
So remember the words wilt, wither, and the phrasal verb wither away. They mean about the same thing, but they're all a little different. Now let's practice with recommend if you have another person. For example, my doctor recommended me. We cannot say me. The only time you can say me is if somebody recommended me for the job. If I am the object or I am the thing that is recommended. He recommended me for the job. But in the example my doctor recommended, I cannot say me. I say I. My doctor recommended I exercise. So we have the person I, we have the action in a simple form, exercise. My doctor recommended I exercise. Why do we say I? Because there's a connector, that. It's an optional connector. You don't have to use it, but you can use it. It makes it easier. My doctor recommended that I exercise more. So remember, you can use the connector that for two ideas. You have the first person I and a simple action. My doctor recommended that I exercise more. Or you can eliminate that. It's optional. My doctor recommended I exercise more is correct. What if the other person is a he or a she? For example, my brother. His doctor recommended that he. I cannot say his doctor recommended him to exercise. I cannot use to in any situation. We use just a simple action. Talking about my brother. His doctor recommended that he exercise. That's right, it's a simple action. I don't change it like he exercises. He exercises is a routine. He exercises sometimes every day. I am not expressing a routine. I am expressing an action that may or may not happen. So I don't change the action at all. It's always in a simple form. Exercise. So talking about my brother, his doctor recommended that he exercise every day. Exercise in a simple form. What about past? You say recommended. Why not exercised? No, we do not change it to past. It's always in a simple form in this structure. So whether it's present, his doctor recommends, or if it's past, his doctor recommended. The action is always in a simple form with no change. Don't change it to past and don't change it with S for he and she. So again, the example, his doctor recommended that he exercise every day. It is not correct, my doctor recommended that I have to exercise. It is not correct, my doctor recommended that I need to exercise. It is not correct, my doctor recommended that I should exercise. Only, my doctor recommended that I exercise every day. Only the simple action is necessary. And remember, the connector that is optional. My doctor recommended I exercise, or my doctor recommended that I exercise every day. What if you have a negative idea? For example, my doctor recommended that I not eat sweets. That's right, we use the negative not only. Not don't, only not. So it is not correct, my doctor recommended that I don't eat. You have to say, my doctor recommended that I not eat sweets. Now this is a difficult structure and it sounds very strange. So if you don't want to use it, you can say it a different way. You can just use a positive action, avoid. My doctor recommended that I avoid sweets. Easier. And one more thing about this structure. What if the verb is to be? For example, the teacher recommended that we are quiet. I cannot use are. I'm going to use a different form. Be. That's right, just be. And not to be, just the verb be, alone. So example, our teacher recommended that we be quiet. That's right. She recommended that we be very quiet. Example, the teacher recommended that we be on time. Not we are on time, we use only the verb be. The teacher recommended that we be on time. And if you want to talk about the negative, she recommended that we not be late. Again, she recommended that we not be late. Let's practice. What did your doctor recommend?
He recommended that I exercise every day.
What did her doctor recommend? That's right. Her doctor recommended that she exercise every day. Very good. Let's practice. What does your husband recommend?
He recommends I eat healthier.
What does her husband recommend? That's right. He recommends that she eat healthier. Very good. Let's practice. What did your friend recommend?
She recommended that we try that restaurant.
What did her friend recommend? That's right. She recommended that we try that restaurant. Very good. Let's practice. Do they recommend that we arrive early?
Yes, they recommend that we arrive early.
Do they recommend that we arrive early? Very good. That's right. They recommend that we arrive early. An example. If I say they recommend you, you can use you to talk about any person. For example, they recommend that you exercise daily. Let's practice. Do they recommend that you exercise daily?
Yes, they recommend that you exercise daily.
Do they recommend that you exercise daily? That's right. They recommend that you exercise daily. And that recommendation is for everybody. Let's practice. What did your trainer recommend?
He recommended that I not eat sweets.
What did her trainer recommend? That's right. Her trainer recommended that she not eat sweets. Very good. Let's practice. Did your trainer recommend that you avoid eating sweets?
Yeah, he recommended that I avoid eating sweets.
Did her trainer recommend that she avoid eating sweets? Very good. That's right. Her trainer recommended that she avoid eating sweets. Let's practice. Does their teacher recommend that they be on time?
Yes, their teacher recommends that they be on time.
Does their teacher recommend that they be on time? That's right. Their teacher recommends that they be on time. Let's practice. Does their teacher recommend that they not be late on the first day?
Yes, she recommends that they not be late on their first day.
Does their teacher recommend that they not be late on the first day? That's right. The teacher recommends that they not be late on the first day. Very good. So let's review all the rules when using recommend. The first is use a gerund. It's easier. And you can use it when the person is not important. It's just the activity that's important. For example, he recommends exercising every day. But if the person is important, then remember, don't use me, don't use him. You start a new idea and you use I, he or she, they, and we. So, he recommends that we exercise, or he recommends that I exercise. And remember, the connector that is optional. You don't have to use it. But I recommend using it because it's going to make it easier to use this structure correctly. So, my doctor recommended that I exercise every day. What if you talk about a he or a she? His doctor recommends that he exercise. Remember, don't change the action for he and she. And don't change the action for past. Example, he recommended that I exercise. Recommended is in the past, but exercise is always in the present. And if it's negative, use not. He recommended that I not eat sweets. And if your action is to be, use be only. She recommended that we be on time. Or if it's negative, she recommended that we not be late. And also remember, don't use need to, have to, or should. Just use the action. You cannot say, he recommended that I have to be on time. No have to, no should, and no need to.
Thank you for watching.
And if you like this video, click the link in the description and check out our other channel where you'll find other great videos just like this one. Thanks for watching.